Hey y'all, this is Tristian Circa 89, where I obsess over pop culture so you don't have to. So I am back here today to talk about Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. It's the third installment in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, and I'm gonna link you guys to the my review over at Geek Vibes Nation. This video will pretty much be kind of an abbreviated version of that, but I wrote my review. It's the third installment. It's an improvement on the second installment, but it's still sort of convoluted. It still isn't as great as I feel like it could be. So let's just get right into it. So, in this sequel to 2018's The Crimes of Grindelwald, our protagonist Newt Scamander and his allies continue to battle against the forces of Grindelwald under the guidance of Professor Dumbledore. So, the film opens with Grindelwald's followers stealing this very rare psychic creature with the ability to see the future and the ability to identify those with the purest of hearts. Basically, Grindelwald plans on using this creature's psychic powers to not only anticipate Dumbledore's moves, but also to prove himself worthy of becoming the new head of the International Confederacy of Wizards. So the Supreme, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Mugwump. So Newt and his allies, they're each assigned their own different task, and they have to band together to expose Grindelwald's plans and prevent him from succeeding in starting a war between the magical and non-magical communities. So I'm going to start off talking about how great Eddie Redmayne is as Newt Scamander. Newt has always been shy, kind of reserved, but he's still very dedicated and believes in fighting for what's right. So, he remains devoted to his magical creatures, and he's very steadfast in seeing good triumph over evil. So I love that about the character. I have nothing but good things to say about how Eddie Redmayne portrays Newt. I love Newt. He's supposed to be our protagonist, and I'm going to kind of get into that as I get deeper into this video. It's kind of frustrating seeing him kind of sidelined. I feel like, and I think other people have said this before, Fantastic Beasts really should have been like a documentary style series of films that focused on him, writing his books, finding his creatures, and maybe dealing with like poachers and things like that. And I felt like what they could have done is set up the next series that focused on like Dumbledore and Grindelwald's feud and Dumbledore wanting to stop him. I feel like they could have set that up in the Fantastic Beasts series, but it really should have been a series that focused on Newt and his creatures. So Jude Law returns as the young and extremely conflicted Albus Dumbledore. Albus Dumbledore's love for his foe, Grindelwald, stems from his childhood crush. Now, in this film, he flat out tells Grindelwald, like, I was in love with you. That's part of my issue. And Dumbledore desperately wants to believe that there's good in Grindelwald, even though everything he has seen, everything Grindelwald has done, says the opposite. So, Jude Law plays a conflicted Dumbledore really well. He's still strong, extremely smart. We have our Dumbledore chess master back, very much like he was in the Harry Potter series. He's moving pieces. Even if he doesn't tell you everything, he definitely knows everything. And I've always loved that aspect of the character. Dumbledore isn't infallible. He's not perfect. He has this sort of messed up ways. And again, we kind of see that in this film more. His kind of manipulative nature, and he has a plan, even if he doesn't necessarily clue you into that plan. And that kind of works with the plot of the film, because Grindelwald can see the future now, so they keep talking about using countersight. You have to do the unexpected. So a part of that is not cluing everyone in on the plan, because Grindelwald could possibly anticipate what's going to happen next if everyone's in on the plan. Callum Turner returns as Theseus Scamander. And what's so funny about this, we can all assume that he wants revenge for Lita's death in the second film. He's also the head aura of the British Ministry of Magic, so it makes sense that he's involved. But they don't really flat out state it until towards the end of the film, which I kind of had an issue with. But he's back and he's out for revenge, and he's also because he's a head aura, he's down to stop Grindelwald. We also have Dan Fogler back as our favorite nomad, Jacob Kowalski, who just desperately wants to reunite with Queenie. Speaking of Queenie, she is now Grindelwald's pet mind reader, but she has her doubts about his cause. Ezra Miller also returns as the tortured, very angsty Credence Barebone, who now has a personal vendetta against Albus Dumbledore and his family because he knows that he's a part of that family and he's been abandoned by them. And I'll get into it a little later as to what his role is exactly in the Dumbledore family and how he's connected to them. So this time around, we also get some new additions. So for example, Jessica Williams joined as Professor Eulalie Hicks. So her name's Eulalie, everybody calls her Laylee. She is a charms professor at Ilvermorny, the American Wizarding School. And her charms and her bookish nature definitely come in handy throughout the film. I love the character. I love her charm, her swagger, her dry humor. I really love that addition to the series. We also get Richard Coyle as Aberforth, and I love this sort of ornery, perpetually annoyed version of Aberforth. It's really funny. He also has a secret that will come back to haunt the Dumbledore family throughout the film. And finally, Mads Mikkelson steps into the role of Grindelwald and does an amazing job. I'm not saying I didn't like Johnny Depp's performance, but I really do feel like this is the perfect role for Mads Mikkelsen. I can't imagine anyone else stepping into the role of Grindelwald and just embodying it so well. So he does an amazing, amazing job. Catherine Watterson, William Nadlam, Victoria Yates, and Poppy Corby-Touche also return to roles that were introduced in previous films. Catherine Watterson as Tina. You know what? I'll get into that later. So yeah, we have a lot of returning cast. We have some new people. It was a very crowded movie. I'll say that. A very, very crowded movie. One thing that was definitely an improvement and definitely helped this film, Steve Kloves, who wrote the Harry Potter films, he came in to co-write with J.K. Rowling this time. And I feel like the plot definitely benefited from him being there helping out this time. So yeah, that's definitely one positive thing I can say about it. His addition, him helping out, was definitely a much needed thing after the last two films. I want to say I really enjoyed the political thriller, sort of political drama aspect of the film surrounding the election of the next Supreme Mugwump. It kind of deepens the viewer's understanding of the wizarding world. It makes sense that Grindelwald will sort of go for this position of power after being cleared of all his charges, which obviously that's a spoiler, but he's cleared of all charges. There's some people on the inside of the German ministry sort of helping him. And so he decides, okay, I'm going to enter this political race. And, not surprisingly, he's able to get some people on his side because Grindelwald is very, very manipulative, and he can sort of sense out people's weaknesses and what upsets them and really preys on that. And Mads Mikkelsen really brings this sort of deadly and seductive charm to the role. So you can see how he's able to convince people. And that's one thing he and Johnny Depp have been able to embody so well. You see how he's able to manipulate and sort of seduce people. And the chemistry between him and Jude Law is just amazing. Like, I loved watching them on screen. Going back for 1 second to Jessica Williams as Laylee Hicks, again, like I said, her dry humor, her swagger, her charm was just a refreshing addition. Yes, the movie was crowded, but I loved her being there. Again, Richard Coyle is just as the resentful, always annoyed Aberforth was such a great addition. And I'm going to go ahead and spoil this here. So he turns out to be Credence's father. So Credence is in fact a Dumbledore, but he is not Albus's brother. He is Albus's nephew. Aberforth got a girl pregnant. The girl left Godric's Hollow, where the family grew up. And there were rumors about a baby, but they were just never sure about it. As it turns out, Credence was in fact that baby. So I really enjoyed them bringing Aberforth in and giving him something to do and giving him that secret. One complaint I had, though, switching to a different set of brothers, we don't really see Newt and Theseus grieving the death of Leda. Again, she was murdered by Grindelwald at the end of the previous film. And yes, again, we get a line towards the end of the film that Theseus is still upset about it and out for revenge, but I really want to see him sort of being blinded by that. When people lose someone and it's tragic and sudden, they can be blinded by that and make some mistakes. So I feel like that would have been a great characterization for Theseus, is just being kind of blinded by rage and having to have Newt sort of pull him back from the edge several times. But no, we don't really get that. Also, another thing that kind of bothered me was that the Theseus and Newt's relationship is just, there's some awkward moments between them throughout the film, And you would think that the death of Leda would have brought them closer together. Yeah, you would think it would have brought them closer together. And I wanted to see that explored. Because I love this sort of, even with the family, with the Harry Potter series, the core of that was family. Whether it was found families, blood relatives. So us having both the Dumbledore brothers and the Scamander brothers and having, some vastly different dynamics, similar but different dynamics, I want to see that family aspect explored more. Because I feel like that is a strength of Harry Potter or Wizarding World franchises and properties at large. Is just the family aspect. And I feel like that's something Fantastic Beasts, the franchise at large, is missing. It's sort of robbing us of those pivotal emotional moments that let us connect with the characters and root for them. Now, jumping to a third set of siblings. One thing I was really disappointed with is because Tina isn't really in this movie. She pops up here and there and then pops up at the end of the film. But because she's not really there, we don't see her, how Queenie joining Grindelwald's side is affecting her. And I really, really hate that we didn't need to see that. I know Catherine Watterson, there was something going on, and so that's why she wasn't able to be in the film that much. But I feel like we were robbed of seeing that sisterly dynamic and how that has changed, and that we really should have seen her, in addition to Jacob, sort of trying to push or pull Queenie back to the side of good. And sort of continuing with that about Tina and Catherine Watterson not really being in this film, we're also robbed of further development in the Newt and Tina relationship, which I find frustrating because that really should have been one of the main emotional cores of this franchise, is their romance, their growing romance, the ultimate realization that they want to spend the rest of their lives together and all of that. So again, it's just kind of a missed opportunity, and it's unfortunate considering this is the third installment of a 5-film franchise. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we haven't really seen. I don't really believe this love between them. I feel like a lot of it has happened off screen. And actually, I take that back because we get the revelation in this film, and I believe it's during Laylee Hicks, her having a conversation with Jacob when she first meets him, and she says, "Oh yeah, you met Newt Scamander a little over a year ago." And I was like, wait. I said, I guess I really haven't been paying attention to like the timeline, because so the first and second films happened a little over a year ago. It just seems like it's been longer, but I guess it hasn't been. But I was just really taken aback by that. I was like, oh, just really taken aback. I was like, okay, wow, this is all happening in a very sort of short time span, considering how much has actually happened. So I know I've had a lot of sort of complaints, but the film isn't all bad. I mean, it has the thrills and the magic that make the Harry Potter series so great. There's some awesome battle scenes, like when Dumbledore and Credence go up against each other. Like, that was amazing. Although I didn't really understand like the alternate dimension thing. Also, that kind of threw me off at the beginning. It seems like Albus and Grindelwald were meeting in a alternate dimension, and I was like, okay. And then when Grindelwald and Dumbledore face off at the climax of the film, it sort of happened in sort of a astral plane, something like that. And I was like, okay, it was kind of a precursor to this epic final battle that we've been told they have since the first Harry Potter book. So it wasn't all bad, because I enjoyed the political element, this election, and how Grindelwald was rigging it, how his followers were helping him rig it. Yusuf Kama, he sort of went undercover among Grindelwald's forces, and we almost thought he had betrayed Dumbledore, but it was actually he was tricking Grindelwald to make him think that he had betrayed Dumbledore. Like, it was just all kind of like, that was cool. I enjoyed Queenie's realization that, maybe I shouldn't be on Grindelwald's side, but I wish we had gotten more of that. I wish had gotten more of a lead up to that, because it was just like, okay, at the end of the last one, we saw you join him, and in this one, we see you having your doubts. But like, what exactly is giving you your doubts? Is it the way he's treating Credence? Is it Credence's how conflicted Credence is? Like, what's really making you doubt Grindelwald? And we don't really get a lot of that. We see Jacob get framed for attempting to assassinate Grindelwald, and that like justifies Grindelwald not liking no mages. We see Jacob get a wand that already has magic within it, like, and we get to see him use that in a pretty interesting way. So there's a lot of really interesting and neat elements of this movie. It's not all bad. I can't help but wonder about the future of the franchise, though. And I think a lot of people are wondering about the future of the franchise. I honestly feel like they don't need 2 more films. I feel like we need 1 more film to wrap everything up. I even saw a review that said at the end of this one, they could really just kind of, like a lot of new supporting cast, at least as far as like Jacob and Queenie, kind of get a resolution to their storyline, which I agree with. So if they didn't bring Queenie and Jacob back in the next one, I would be okay with that because I feel like their story is pretty much over. Spoiler alert: they get married, and they're gonna go live happily ever after. I don't really feel like there's more story to be told with them. I mean, yeah, you can include them in the next two, kind of helping out. But if they don't come back, yeah, if they don't come back, I think we'll be okay. I feel like there's also some hints at maybe Laylee, Jessica Williams' character, and Theseus getting together. And I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing Theseus move on and let go of his, kind of making peace with losing Lita and moving on to his next relationship. I would love to see more Laylee Hicks. I would really love to see Ilvermorny before this series is over. So hopefully we'll get more of that in the next one or the next two. But I don't know. We'll see. I really feel like this series could be so much better than it is, and at this point, I don't want to say it's beyond saving, but at this point, I really just think like there's a lot of more that I want to see that they could put in 2 more films, but I think it would be better if they just ended it with the next one. The blood pact between Grindelwald and Dumbledore is broken, so yeah, I think we just need 1 more film to wrap this thing up, because at this point, this franchise is sort of, it's gone so far down the wrong path that I think like, I don't know if I don't know if there's really any saving it. It's just like, hey, just give us 1 more decent film and let's wrap this thing up. Again, love the magic, love the thrills, but this could have been so much more. And I don't think that it was handled well. But again, what do I know? So I would still encourage you to go watch this film, especially if you saw the first 2, especially if you're a Harry Potter fan. Especially if you're a Harry Potter fan, because this is showing us a different era of the wizarding world. So if you've seen the first 2, if you're a fan of Harry Potter, definitely, I would encourage you to kind of see it through and go ahead and watch this one and the next one or the next 2 just to finish out the series. But again, I wish the series had been handled differently because it has so much potential. And that's about it. That's all I got for you. So as always, my name is Tristian Circa 89, and I obsess over pop culture so you don't have to. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.